Oh my goodness, guys, turning on the light down here right now was pure torture. Ugh, it's so bright, my eyes are still like closed. I decided to give myself a little extra sleep time, even though I wanted to get up closer to 5 today. 5:34. I woke up, it was like 5:15, and I was like, 15 more minutes. So let me log in while I'm doing that. So this is Craftaganza day 2. All kinds of feedback from you guys, you know, in the chat too, and people love it. People are like, it's too hectic, like so confused, you know, my ideas of what I thought about it yesterday, my first impressions. So, you know, everyone has their opinion. Mine's just an opinion. I'm just saying that because when I saw comments on my own channel, they're like, well, you know, this and this, and other people were like, hey, this was really bad, and like maybe I didn't mention it or whatever. So, you know, again, keeping the cost in mind and all these things. I will say some of the things that bother me, again, the recipe cards didn't have instructions, so you can't even work ahead of time if you wanted to get some things ready. There are some lulls in the class because if someone's just not getting something, or I guess a good amount of people, if they're not, they'll just keep going over and over and over that same thing again. They were behind. They never really finished most of the cards. At least not that I noticed. You know, whatever. So, again, I would have liked to see that they would have included some other things that you needed to make the cards nice, right? There are quite a few things, I think. But anyway, I did end up finishing this one from class 3, and I just, you know, added a sentiment, and I popped some little things in. They didn't use these little guys, I don't think, but I did. So again, everyone has different looking card. Again, if you're not sure of the measurements, just go with what you think would be nice. Excuse me. So this guy's supposed to have a ribbon on the side here, and I didn't include that, but I just added "Have a wonderful day." And this is the stuff that I was telling you, the gilding wax that I do have in my stash that you're supposed to kind of rub over the top that makes it pop. Not my favorite design. I mean, it looks nice. It just, their example looks better. Let's just say. So that was me. And then again, things that I've, you know, out of my comfort zone, but I love the way this came out. And then this one was just fun. A lot of pieces and, you know, cutting on your own. So, but that one came out cute, and I was never going to do class 5. So those I finished from yesterday, and let's pull out class 6. Again, I'm already behind, so I'm going to turn this on. And then, you know, things that people were confused with were like, these papers look so much alike, especially on their camera. And if you didn't hear it correctly or just missed it, you're not sure which one they're, you know, cutting, what they're doing. I think for this one, obviously, it's going to be a base card. And again, this one doesn't have an example because they only included a stamp set that looks like this, where some of the other ones do have examples. So if you want to print out the card, the recipe cards, ideas or whatever, even though they don't have instruction, you can do that. Just have the image of what you're supposed to have made. Maybe that'll help you remember. So I'm going to click on watch classes. And again, I missed the intro at 5 a.m. because I was not going to do that. And here we're already, you know, however far in. And so what happens is, like, Leanne will teach a class, and then Sarah kind of follows along and then reads questions, has her own questions, you know, and then Sarah will teach a class and Leanne will follow along and stuff like that. So right now it's Leanne's turn because it has to do with, like, whatever we're doing. So I'm just going to go back in and see what's up. know. I feel like I'm not doing this as well. I'm not using the brush things that they have because I don't have them. I'm just using little sponge tips, and it's just not blending on here as nicely. And these look really wet, but I guess, again, I think it's the applicator. This looks bad. So hopefully by the end, it'll look okay. I don't know. Wish me luck. Okay, that's as good as they're gonna get. Again, I am using a water brush, so the water releases in big droplets, but you want finer drops. I mean, I guess it doesn't matter. So, something like that. Looks crazy. I'll keep working. Theirs looks much prettier and blended and gorgeous, but oh well. So apparently they changed their technique today as far as the classes, and people are liking that, where they're doing the technique first and then I guess the other stuff. Because, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I do like cutting things and getting them ready. I think they could have just done that too, but, you know, whatever. Now they're just going to show you what the technique is, and then you go into some of the other stuff. And I think it's working. You know, while we're doing this, it's kind of funny. Yesterday when I went to, you know, subscribe or whatever, I was like, huh. YouTube had already offered me this video, the Craftaganza thing. So I'm like, I didn't sign up. I never gave them my email. YouTube shouldn't know that I have anything to do with that, you know? So some people in the comments were like, where can I buy this? So that obviously means they hadn't bought it. Yeah, Crafts Companion said you know, the classes were locked down. I think maybe the Facebook entry might be locked down. But no, they made a YouTube channel that YouTube is like, hey, there's this new channel. You want to check it out? So Craftaganza at home, if you want to watch. And even people are following along right now that, you know. So then yesterday somebody left me a comment too. They're like, I think it's funny that I can watch them because I didn't sign up for it. And I was like, oh yeah, I noticed that. So, you know, sometimes take it with a grain of salt when companies are like, oh, only this and that. I mean, obviously with Anna Griffin, it is locked down. But again, I don't mind. I don't care. But it is funny that during the Today Special, she kept really pushing that you're paying for the classes. That's why some people are like, well, you don't have that many things. You know, it's just enough for that. And it's not like a supply chest. But at the same time, you're paying for the classes, right? And that's what she kept reiterating. But at the same time, not really, because everyone's getting the classes for free. So these are just things I'm noticing, guys. Please don't get upset with me. I know this is... Crafters Companion folk, I think, are even more... don't want to hear anything that's even a little bit negative than, like, the Anna Griffin folks. Okay, so, but you know me. If I see that, I'm going to say it, and I'm going to share what you guys are also saying. And a lot of people were... yesterday were just like, this is a mess. Like, it was crazy. It was crazy. It was very hectic and busy. I feel like did it sound too dark? I don't know. This is not pretty yet. Hopefully it'll be pretty by the end of it. But again, that's me, not because this is how they're, you know, they're showing you things, but like, you know, I have to interpret it or I do it myself, and I'm not sure I like this right now. We'll see. Okay. I'll keep working. Okay, I will say, when they were stamping, she did not say, she said, put some stars towards the top. She didn't say that they were supposed to look like they're coming out of her hand. So, I mean, that's an easy fix, I suppose. I can just kind of stamp her here and then add some more stars, but that would have been a good thing to say earlier, right? So that you would plan this a little better. But again, we'll just add more stars. No big deal. I don't want to add too many more. I'll just do something like that. Wipe this away because I already have a ton of stars on here, and maybe like right here, right there we go. Okay, but interesting. All these little things, if it's part of the design, should be mentioned. Okay. This looks really pretty. It's coming together. So we're supposed to be drying, and so I am drying. And then I guess we're gonna do our matte layers. So yeah, I'm good to go. I can see that the ink right there for some reason just is not dry. I'll keep working on it. Funny, we're supposed to add in bubbles right now, and I'm like, I was gonna go to do it, and I'm like, I never really look like there's bubbles from the splatter. So the splatters were supposed to be finer, just I was using this, and you know, they're huge, so I don't know. I might just leave what's there, because honestly, those look pretty bubblish already. Maybe I'll add a little more to it so it's more obvious. I don't know. So right now they're talking about using a white pen to add accents. And they did that to all the projects. If you really look at a lot of the projects, I shouldn't say all of them. Again, they didn't include one. Look at this gel pen that I have from one of the Tonic craft kits. I mean, they could have thrown in a little something like this. And this is the kind of thing I'm talking about. I know people are like, well, we have these things in our stash or whatever. Do a lot of people have gilding wax in their stash? So I understand that, guys, if you're well into crafting, but I feel like this is a very beginner kit, so I think they should have included some of these extra things that maybe you just don't have, or you don't have a good one, right? That's another thing. Sometimes gel pens, you know, it just depends. They might not be that great. This one I haven't used yet, so I'm going to get it going before I bring it to my project, but, you know, if you want to add that, it would be with the gel pen from your stash. So now Sarah's tip here is that they're not even going to measure. Just add this, which is normally what they do. If you ever watch their videos, which I haven't watched in a long time, but they'll just take paper and put it behind it and then eyeball it, right, to do your matte layers. She's like, instead of doing all these numbers, that's confusing everybody. It's not confusing people. I think if you just give the numbers, we'd be good. We'd be good. Give the numbers. Yeah. So again, to cut into that black paper, I don't know. I'll probably just find some scraps, you know, that I might have. Obviously they're too small, but I do have other larger scraps of black cardstock to matte layer. Card blanks could have been another thing they could include, that are something that they create. They're inexpensive in my opinion, I'm sure, to make them. A lot of times they're asking for a 5x7. You can get that from the cardstock they included, right, to make your own, but sometimes they need more than this for the project, so you do have to provide your own card blank. So something to think about. But anyway, if you're going to cut your own, obviously from this A2 size paper, 7 inches tall, you know, here, 10 inches, and then score it at 5. So 7 inches in this direction, 10 over here, score at 5. Okay, now they're doing all kinds of things. She's changing it up. She's even cutting into this and just changing the numbers like on the fly. And that's the thing that people decide, like, oh, okay. But whatever, make it work for your card. You have a 5x7 card base, do the matte layering that you like, is basically where they're at. I'll tell you sometimes, I was just going to say, if you're using the black paper, you don't have enough to matte layer this and matte layer this. But Sarah must have noticed, because she's like, okay. And she's always correcting Leanne as far as cutting things to save your paper. So she went ahead and did them, you know, she cut something else. And then she's like, came back to like regret it, I guess. So what she's showing is take this guy, gut the center pretty good, so you're going to have some black paper to help you with this one. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. So, at least that's what it looks like she's doing. I don't know. I turned the sound off. Okay. I guess you're also supposed to matte layer with the teal, but Sarah's like, I'm not going to do that. So she just skipped that, because I like tight matte layers too, but you know, you have to cut more into this if you're going to want to. But if you want to squeeze some of that teal in, you can definitely do that. I'll say, again, just do whatever you want. At the beginning, you know, I followed her numbers, and then she, for some reason, cut off a little bit more, and I was like, I'm just not going to do that. I'll leave it the way I cut it to begin with. So mine might be a little bit longer in the way it looks, because I left it with the initial number that she gave, and see, it covers a lot of the background. I mean, she cut off like the smallest amount. I don't know why, but well, maybe like a 1/4 inch. I guess not the smallest amount. That is a good amount. But, you know, I just use black for my stash, and I have these pieces of cardstock left for another time. And so I think, I don't know what time it is. Well, I do know what time it is, 6:40. The next class is at 7:15. So hopefully, yeah, if all I have to do is layer this up. I will say the one thing that they don't really address, and they're just like, just put this on later, is these sentiments. I don't know if you noticed, sentiments are very boring, right? The only reason this one has shape is because I shaped it. But then when I saw the sample later, because I didn't know what they did and I wasn't going to pull it up, they just cut it at an angle like this. So that, well, that's nice. But yeah, I mean, that's very basic, isn't it? Other than this one having a die for it. But the die doesn't really work on any of the other sentiments. So anyway, they're super basic on that one. I think it'd be nice. Maybe next time they'll do more of a sentiments class or something. I don't know. Okay, I'm just gonna matte layer some stuff. Yeah, they're actually giving a break, and they're a little bit early on that, you know, because yesterday they kept going over, so today they're just a little bit early finishing up. Okay, guys, so I guess that is it for this card. You know, they said just put the sentiment on later, which I guess, oh, this is the sentiment. Believe in magic. And again, I don't have an image to show you right now what this is supposed to look like because it's on the recipe card and not on this, but let me see where it's supposed to be. Oh, just at the very top right here, a big square. Yeah, so again, mine is much longer. I think whenever I do that, if I add that, I would put, oh, see, it covers up the little flowers. Maybe off in here. I don't know. Maybe just on the inside, huh? Maybe nothing. Or maybe one of the sentiments from something else. But that's that. So yeah, we learned some cool stuff. Obviously, you're playing with these water reactive, like oxidized type of, anyway. Oxidative? I don't know the type of ink that oxidizes. But it still kind of is water reactive in my opinion. It does have that different look, but I mean, that's very much like water reactive. I don't know. The other ones are water reactive because the Harmony water reactive ink pads, right? And then the duets are the ones that are more like this, a little more pigment, a little different. But anyway, this is what I came up with, and then, or how mine turned out. I didn't come up with this. We painted the little flowers, gives it kind of a fun look, and then a little something with the wings. Mine did not bleach out as much as theirs did, because again, I think maybe it was kind of heavy-handed. I don't know. But that is my card. Hopefully I didn't glue this one incorrectly. No? Okay. And I added a little bit of white here and there. I don't know. All right, guys. Well, that's that. I do have to go to yoga at 9:45, so I'll start the next class, but I know I'm going to have to leave during the class 8. So that would be during third class. So yeah, so the second class I'll be here and just following along perfectly, which is great. Okay, so I am ready for class 7. I came in here just to, you know, get it started, and already someone says, maybe she has a typo in there because it is the measurements for class 7. Who knows? Because they didn't give you that information at the time. So yeah, we don't know the information. Actually, I might need to use this in this next class because I think we haven't used the alcohol ink markers, and it looks like that's the only place we're going to use them. So hopefully the next class, class 8, is like a little card kit. So they only allowed 45 minutes for that class, and I have a feeling, you know, I can do that on my own, hopefully. But either way, obviously you can watch the videos again and again. I will say I'm going to go to yoga, and that is during that class, and that's perfect because I don't really have to learn anything there. You're just putting the stuff together. So again, the cute little card kit. Oh, I didn't even grab class 7 stuff. We have this. We have a mask. Oh, no wonder, because they do have a lot of. I'm like, oh, I wonder how they're gonna do that. Duh, with a mask. So this is stuff for that. And again, you're probably going to make your own card. It looks like it's a 5x7, but again, you make your card base. One of these is going to be alcohol ink marker paper. I have a feeling I would say it's this one, the one that's more white. But I guess I can compare this to the paper that we just used, and then you'll know. But yeah, see this white. Well, no, see, I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I guess I'll have to listen, because this is from the paper from earlier, and it's more like this one. Their alcohol ink marker paper is kind of a yellow, creamy color. I mean, off-white a little bit. Usually you want them to be very bright white, but I don't know. I guess we'll have to listen. All right. Vicky, somebody named Vicky just asked, any tips on how to tell which one is a white card and which is alcohol card? No. All right. We'll just have to be patient. While they're still talking about some stuff, I guess I will print out it's not instructions, the recipe cards, just to have an image of what a lot of these things are supposed to look like. I thought they all had something, but I guess not. So only a few of the kits had like packaging where you would see what you were making. So just to keep for reference, I guess. But I'll just print those out, but not the whole thing, because some of them are like a crossword puzzle and a bingo card, which is cute and all these things, and maybe you turn them in for prizes. I don't know. I haven't heard that, but we'll see. She's talking about the card pick types right now. I gotta listen. Ooh, so guys, as I deduced, I mean, at first I gave them the doubt, but you know, the benefit of like, oh, the white one should be the alcohol marker paper, but it is not. It is this one. And she didn't really say like because obviously you want it to be white. She didn't say it's off-white. She just said one's more smooth and has a tooth, but you can tell the difference by like what she was holding. So yeah, so this is the alcohol ink marker paper, and this is just your cardstock. Hopefully you can see the difference. This one's not bright white, which is kind of what I figured after I compared the scrap from one of the card bases earlier, which was like a second ago for you guys. Okay, I gotta listen. She did say that this one is very smooth to the touch, and that's why it's your alcohol ink marker paper. So just, good stuff, I guess is what she's trying to say. This is kind of interesting. She was saying not to color on certain things. Behind it, she said just use a piece of cardstock. It's kind of funny because I don't care. Like, I'll just color through here. But if you use a piece of cardstock, it kind of absorbs the alcohol ink instead of if you're on something plastic or rubbery or something like this, that it might just, I guess, if it's so saturated, it'll go back into your image in a way maybe that you don't want, right? So that makes sense. I feel like I've heard that in the past, but anyway. And then you're going to use, of course, your alcohol proof ink. So you do have two black inks, Sarah had mentioned earlier. She said, do not mix up your lids. If anything, it doesn't say anything at the bottom, but I would probably put a W on the bottom just so it means water, right? Proof, and maybe an A on the other one. I don't know. Just something to think about. We'll take your alcohol ink marker and do that, right? But anyway, so we're just going to stamp on this and color and do all these things and masking and whatever else. I know somebody had said, oh, I wish there was a die included because they don't want a fussy cut. And I was like, I think that's a mask. You're not going to cut this out. You're just going to use it on top of your stamp. And I believe that is the case. So that's what that's for. Okay. I will get going. Just talking about all these different ways to stick your mat down, and to be honest, I probably will just put a little bit of tape. Obviously you don't want to pick up your image here, but I don't think you're gonna do that much that it's gonna be that problematic. And honestly, I might even just hold it. But when you're holding something, it does not align super perfectly because the leaves. That's interesting. Okay. If I get this centered perfectly, these leaves are way off. And I say way because that is a good amount. Maybe if you put it there and avoid no? Anyway, I guess it's close enough is basically what it is. Okay, like I said, I have repositionable tape that I'll just stick on the back of this. Excuse me, I'm gonna get off my stool here. This stuff. And I'll put some where I think it's important to put it. And it's not even that much, guys, but it'll work. And maybe once it's stuck down, right? Like I'm trying to see about, okay, the black leaves, that might be good. Okay. Ooh, see the little stem just doesn't, oh, there we go. Maybe once you have sticky stuff, it'll stay where you want it. You can kind of maneuver it. I don't know. We're doing stamping and inking, all these fun things. So this is really fun. I haven't done masking in a minute, but I don't mind masking. I've done it many times here on the channel. That'll be fun because I think a lot of people are afraid of that. I used to watch old videos when people have things like that, and they're like, oh, and you have to have like the right sticky pad and like different tips and tricks, or just fussy cut something so then you can, use that as a mask and all that, but obviously we have the mask here for us, which is nice. But we're just going to take things like this and stamp them. Okay. Okay, it looks like something scary is that we don't really know what we're doing, because again, they didn't give us a step-by-step. So like right now I was like, do I stamp this with the same ink that we use, alcohol ink marker ink? Because we're going to color that obviously with alcohol ink marker. But then I was like, she said, and so I went back and listened, and she said, oh, use whatever ink you're using. Okay, we are using that. But then if we go in here to smear all around with ink, it's going to smudge. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe that needs to be the waterproof one. I don't know. And then other people have that same question and no one's answering it. So I don't know. That's a real bummer, because this might be a disaster. These are the kinds of questions. Oh, there you go. See? Oh, what ink? Okay. She said alcohol proof. I don't know. I hope it doesn't. Maybe they know what maybe it's more of a hybrid. So I don't know. All I know is about if it's alcohol proof is that it is water based. So that usually means it is going to react in water. But whatever. They know what they're doing. They're telling us, and I'm just going to follow along. All right, good. Perfect. I'm glad they responded, because honestly, I was going back and forth and some other people were asking, so they did respond. So that's good. Yeah, somebody else commented, I guess, there, and Sarah read it off about how it's intimidating, or like they just never tried it because they're like, ugh. And I don't know why. People just are afraid of masking. I think because a lot of times if you have to make your own mask, it's a pain. But if you have a die for the same, image or whatever, that also helps. And then if you have a mask for the image, that's even better. But you can make your own mask with the die, and even if it has a little edge, right? I mean, honestly, it's better than nothing. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times the die is bigger than the stamped image. But just have fun. Okay, so I guess they did know, their product, because they didn't reconstitute, I don't think. It is kind of muddy and weird looking, but we're going to keep going. The reason I say that is because, like, if I was doing this myself and I came up with these colors, I would say it's a little muddy and weird looking, okay? I have to be very clear, because I know people are like, how dare you? So it's okay. Theirs is brighter and prettier. I don't know. Maybe I was supposed to be a little heavier with it, but at the same time, I can't blend that well, so, like, I do it lightly. I don't know. I'm sure it'll be fine at the end. I do feel like I should add a little more pink, but I don't know. It's just, see, that's the problem right there. I'm not good at this. And I am a little better with the spongy ones, but then the spongy ones will leave a big circle. So, what are you going to do? Oh, well. Okay. I better listen. Okay, I'm totally not listening because you know how that goes, but I just want to stop. Vanilla, Satsuma, Fuchsia, gorgeous colors, love the names. Magenta, okay. Cranberry, deep pink, looks kind of purple. Emerald, marine, and navy blue, gorgeous. She's already color mixing and I have no idea, so I'm gonna have to go back a few seconds to listen to that. Okay, again, it's kind of painful when they're just like petal by petal. Like that took 3 or 4 minutes to discuss this, but it's really pretty. You know, again, you're supposed to put down so much color that comes through the back, and that isn't saturated enough yet. So if you really want the true color of what you're doing, it's supposed to be so much that it really goes through your paper. But I'm going to go ahead and kind of skip ahead because this is going to take forever. So I'm sure this next part, they're just going to tell you to do your thing, right? So again, they want you to leave a little bit of white space for like a little area, and then just kind of come in with your lightest color, and then go in with your medium color. Very typical old school how we color, right? I'm doing that kind of light, and then I'm gonna go back to my lightest one and blend that out. Always from the darker color down into the lighter color. That's just how you do these things. And then from there, you're gonna go to the darkest shade, which is back up here. And I think she even added another darker one because she's like, oh, it'll be pretty if you bring in something else for this part. So flicking, making it nice and delicate, go back to the medium shade, blend, you know, into some of that pink that we just laid down, blend that down, and then go back to the vanilla again, or your lightest color. And I hardly ever do this anymore because it takes a while, and I like easy, but as you can see, I mean, it's a really beautiful blend. So just, you know, depends on your markers, what you're doing, how much time you want to spend, right? That was always important. So again, if I come in here and we leave a little bit, I'm doing a little more yellow, a little higher up, I'm leaving a little area of white. On this first one, at the very end, I lost my little area of white, so I'll tell you what you're supposed to do. Well, at least what I do. I'm gonna go there. Ooh, I guess you could leave these uncapped, but you know, oh, see, I'm telling you, it's been a while. Let me finish this up and then we'll talk about if you lose your little white space. And then again, back to the medium color. So what I used to do back in the day is go with the lightest one over everything, right? But anyway. And now we're just gonna blend there. My little white space is still there. I lost it at the very end. I just, you know, it just wasn't enough of it. So I just took my blender, which is basically an eraser pen. Again, just has the alcohol ink without any color. And I scrub back in there to get rid of the orange that got where I didn't want it to, or yellow, orange, whatever that is. Okay, I'm just gonna keep coloring. And now things like this. So, you know, you have to take what you learned, I suppose. Like this petals underneath, it should be a little darker, right? So you might have more of the dark color coming in. Oh, I keep wanting to reach for the other ones. It's all here. I haven't used my tricolors in forever. I told you I have the whole collection. But anyway, if you're still leaving some white on this one, I don't know if you're supposed to. Let me look at the image. Yeah, it'd be very hard to, because especially since it's down here. So I'm just going to go vanilla, Satsuma. I love the names of these. I guess you're supposed to go back to vanilla, but this is a very small little... Oh, see, I used the darkest one. Go back into the dark one. And do what I was supposed to do. All wrong. There we go. Yeah, so it's just a darker petal because it's underneath. Right? Okay. I'll say I'm going to come back and do the deep pink because I feel like it does need something. My goodness, I told you guys it's too early. But again, whatever you add to the darker one, you come in with the next, you know, lightest shade. And, you know, you want to do these a petal at a time. So like right now I did that and everything's kind of set. But if you're working on it while everything's still kind of wet from the blending you had just done, no problem. I just kind of snuck that in afterwards. And, you know, it just takes you a little bit longer. But anyway, all right, keep working. So she's addressing that now, actually. She did all the top petals. I was just doing them as I was going along, but she said they need to look like they're in more shade, which is basically what I said to you guys, right? So yeah, we're on track. We're on track. I gotta tell you, one of the very first classes I ever took about this kind of thing was with Crafter's Companion. Well, it was Crazy Creations or something like that at a expo. And I don't know if the Crafter's Companion people were there, but I know it was with Spectrum Noir markers and then some, you know, with Copic markers also. So obviously the Spectrum Noir ones are less expensive. In those days, it was the ones where it was just the one color and the one barrel. But that's what I learned from, you know? So kind of interesting. Okay. done for now. She did add some little petals here, and I thought they were kind of random, so I just didn't do it. Which would be cute. It looks like maybe they fell, but they're different color types of petals, in my opinion. So if you want to do that, obviously it's your project, so I just did what I felt like. Somebody did ask about coloring, and then again, like I mentioned earlier, right, I had already done these petals when I came back with a darker purple or whatever, deep pink, which to me is purple. I don't know. And she had mentioned again, like you want to work on each petal at a time. Like you can't just do all this color, all this color, all this color, because you want to blend it, right? And that's basically what I had mentioned to you guys. I will say I did come out here. It's because it's alcohol ink. It dries really fast. Like with water base or watercolor, you can reconstitute it and you're maybe keep blending and doing things. With this, it's fine. It's just it dries. So you really want to, while it's still kind of wet, is be in there, not let it dry for minutes. And again, it should be enough to go through the back. But of course, I didn't do that because I never do. I got a little bit outside the line, which isn't the biggest deal, but it is bothering me a little bit. So hopefully that can disappear and not bother too much, especially because we did all that inking. I might have to perfect it a little bit, but that's okay. So again, you can just sit there like this, but I've noticed if you do that, if you just sit there holding it to get rid of something, it'll start leaching in a way that it's going to go into this area. So I like to kind of control it by giving it a scrub. Obviously not too much. If it's alcoholic marker paper, I should be able to take it. And once it dries and everything, disperses, it'll be hard to see that. So gone. Okay, I need to go and see what they're doing next. I guess she is going to decorate this little butterfly, even though we inked it, but it's not very dark. Yeah, it's so funny because mine just looks so dirty. Theirs looks so clean and cute, but whatever. I guess I'll go in here and do a little coloring of this butterfly too, and I think we're just making it up. So I'll just do a little something. We're almost there. I think we're just matte layering and stuff after this. That's funny. And Leanne's card, she had a lot of white edge, and I don't. Like, mine's really... And so I was like, oh, that's kind of a bummer. I like that white edge. But she's like, oh, to get rid of that white edge, just go in and do a little more inking. I'm like, oh, I guess she didn't want the white edge, but I like the way it looked. But I didn't get it, all right? It didn't happen for me. All right, now we're matte layering, so I got to listen. But again, I feel like they just do whatever. So Sarah just went off and doing her own thing like she does, and she's like, just cut it, they'll just put this like on top of a whole piece of cardstock. Let's say it was this, and then stick it down and then just take it to your guillotine and trim off. But sometimes you're off and people are like, what are the numbers? So I went ahead and responded. I don't know if that's appreciated or not, but I was like, if you're doing the matte layers, it's this and this is what the numbers should be, but of course do what you want, right? Again, they didn't put those informations, none of that in the recipe cards. So I think they'll learn for next year, because like those are the kinds of things people can have cut down already to begin with, so you can focus more on the technique. Having said that, I know with like the Anna Griffin ones, this last time people were kind of upset that Cheery had the things cut and they weren't ready for that, and it's always something, right? But I think with this, when they're really focusing on all these techniques and they do take a while to do, you should be not focusing so much on the cutting, especially because everyone's confused, So I don't know, something to think about. Yeah, but like I said, today I feel like everything's going much smoother, but maybe it's just the projects from yesterday did have a lot of technique as far as it took time, right? And some people don't move that quickly. I mean, a lot of people are like, I've been crafting for 30 years and I couldn't even keep up or whatever. So yeah, and it's, again, not about keeping up, but we say that, but people do like to be able to keep up. So let's just be real. I mean, that's for real. Okay, after this class, I don't know. I'll probably peek in at the next class. I probably won't stay. I was kind of thinking this is kind of boring. If you had, I'm sure you do, an embossing folder, run that through an embossing folder and make that more fun. No? Because we have this. And it's kind of just... It looks kind of like a matte, like if you were to frame something. So it's nice. But if you want some texture back there, I'd run it through an embossing folder. But, But if you like more of that clean look, or just, you know, you're only looking at that focal point, especially because it took you a while to color, then maybe, you know, you want to keep this. But yeah, you can definitely run that through like an enlarged embossing folder, like the Spellbinders ones, of course. All right, guys, I'm just going to layer this up and keep doing whatever they're doing. Okay, so that was that. Again, here's the card, and they did do something a little different today with the sentiment, like I had said before. I don't want to put too much on here, guys. Just because I don't want to waste anymore, but that's fine, because we're not really... Excuse me, oh my gosh, my voice has been bothering me so many times today because I go to say something and then I have to edit those videos or just throw away that little bit because I'm like, so let's start over. I did notice the big trees that are behind our house back here, like on the road, are blooming, and that's what gets pollen like all over, because we only have palm trees, you know, other than our citrus, but they're so small that they're not the ones that cause problems. But oh my goodness, bad. Anyway, she said, oh, maybe they'll start early. I was like, oh, sweet, because I got to leave, right? So to me, starting early, hopefully that's not crooked. It looked crooked all of a sudden to me. That looks right. Okay. You know, that means I can get ready for yoga and then do most of the class and then leave for a little while. But then they said, oh, no, I guess no, we have to stay. They have to keep the schedule what they had. So, bummer for me. Okay, so as far as the sentiment, kind of interesting. They just colored up a little piece of cardstock. Now, I don't have the same one again, so I don't even know what to do about this. But they just kind of did the little pink and orange on it, and then they did the stamping, I guess, because I don't think she showed it. I think she just came up with like, oh, here, I have this, you know. So that's interesting. Unless I missed it, but I was really paying attention. Ooh, that is very dark. Way too dark. Way too much. Way too much. I'll just do it over. Right. You know, actually, I'll do a little yellow and a little bit of the pink. There we go. That's... There you go. That was too much. Don't mind wasting a little paper. I mean, I can use it for something else if it really, you know. Thank you. Stop and smell the flowers. Enjoy the little things. You grow, girl. I think thank you is good because like I do a lot more thank you than I do anything else. So let's put that right there. And yeah, I'm just going to do some editing. So I like to edit as I go along my videos, so that way when I'm done for the day, like I can upload that video real quick. I'm going to use this alcohol proof. Why not? We'll see. You know, I like VersaFine, but let's see how this works. I might have to redo it because I'm just going for it, but ooh, yeah, that might have been a little dangerous, guys. I don't know. I'm gonna have to finish it off with my pigment pen. Just to make it look nicer. So again, just cut this down, matte layer with black, and pop it on wherever you want. So that is what I'll do. Okay, so class 8 has started. I'm just a couple minutes late because I had to go take a shower right quick. But again, it's just putting together some things that we're going to punch out. So kind of hunky-dory-ish, I don't know, something like that. They did give us a couple card bases in this one, which, you know, okay, cool. So we have those. That's great. And then some papers, obviously. And then these guys. And I think there are 2 sheets of cardstock in this one. Anyway, and a sentiment. So I will have to work with that when I get back, no problem. Actually, let's think. This class is only 45 minutes. I'll be gone for at least an hour and a half. So the next class starts at 10:30. I won't be back at 10:30. I'll be back closer to 11 because my class is 9:45 to 10:45 and then I have to drive home. But the next one after this, class 9, is a shaker card, which is very cute. And then a glitter paste card is class 10. So, I mean, I've been keeping up other than this not having a sentiment right now. I do have these guys. So that's good. And then, again, I'm pretty much going to have to probably just do this one later. You know, watch the video again. No problem. I don't think I'm going to try it at all because it's already 9:20. I got to leave. So that's that for that one. When I come back, it'll be class 9. And yeah, this just makes like a little, I don't know if you want to call it like a diorama card. What do they call it? Dome cards and centerpiece. I can show you real quick what it's supposed to look like though, I guess. right there. So again, you're just putting it together. No big deal. I mean, I don't see anything extra special about that. I will say you don't have a die to cut this, and there's an opening, so you're going to have to, they're probably going to take this, turn it over, like open it up, get your card cut, and then trace that on there, and then cut it out. And then they're going to decorate all around it, so maybe you won't be able to notice that it's not that great, right? It's not cut that great. So just some tips already just by looking at it. All right, guys, I'll be back in a while. Oh, I just got back, and you know what? They're already die cutting the shaker part, and I don't even have it out. Oh my gosh, I just lost my little sentiment. That's okay. Last night, people are making breakfast and things. You might hear some noises back there, but I'm going to get on it because I'm sure it won't take too long, especially make a little shaker. But I do want to know, oh, there's watercolor involved. The sizing. Okay, it looks like they're intending a 5x7, but this shaker, look how small this is. I mean, that is tiny. That's you are going to do some watercoloring and all this other cute stuff, but like I feel like that's going to get lost. So I'm just going to make an A2 size card and make it easy. So yeah, I mean, the thing is only just over 2 inches, if 2 inches, just about. So I'm going to make mine A2 size, guys. So I'm just going to take this piece and cut it right down half. I mean, you can cut it the other direction too if you want it to open up, which is kind of fun. But, and then all my matte layers are going to coordinate with that, okay? It does come with a piece of acetate. I don't remember if I showed this in the video, the unboxing. I must have. I'll probably not cut into this and just use a scrap of acetate. Actually, I have one right here. See? Actually, this is a carrier. As you can see, it was holding stamps. And I'll just use this other, or dies, should I say. I'll just use this other side. So we're going to start doing some watercolor on this. What I was showing you is I just substituted white cardstock that I had. I do have small pieces. I just don't have big enough ones to make like a whole card base right now. I totally ran out. Gray piece, paper from the kit. And then just because we're only going to use a little bit of that pink, I just grabbed some pink coral color from my stash. And then again, Sarah's like, just do whatever you like as far as mats and layers, because I just don't want to keep repeating, I guess. But people do want to know, like, what are the numbers, But anyway, I'm going to do watercoloring on this. It's not watercolor cards, so I'm just going to do my best. It's going to look pretty anyway. It's just not going to take in the color the way watercolor paper would. It is included in the kit. You saw it there. I'm not going to use it. I need to pay attention to what they are using, though. I think they're using the inks to do this. Okay, please don't think because I made my little substitutions that that's what they did. I was gonna say the color they use is very bright, and then the pink that we're supposed to use is basically the same. It would still have that weird. Those don't go together. But I'm not using watercolor, so maybe the watercolor paper, paper would have softened. I don't know. Again, when I make substitutions, please don't judge their stuff by that. Oh, I also substituted black card base for a white. I like black card bases, so I thought that was fun. Even though there is a white card base in the kit. I'm pretty sure these are just going to get stuck down. I know they haven't talked about that yet, but like, what else are you going to do? Because they built this shaker up on its own, and I always like to make my shakers on the card base itself. So, the reason they did that too is when they pop it on top later, they're going to have little hearts here, and I'm just going to put the hearts and everything else down. So I think I'm just going to glue these things down. And then go from there. Will says I'm waiting for that to set up. They didn't give you foam adhesive. So I was gonna say these are kind of big sequins. So a lot of times if you have the foam stuff, like this, obviously you can get it from your stash. If you don't have it, you can use a bunch of little 3D foam adhesives. You just want to keep them really close. This is big sequins, but there are little tiny bits in there. I don't know if you can see those that fell out of like the little holes in the sequins. So those could sneak out, but honestly, you don't, as long as the gaps aren't bigger than this, you can do whatever you want, right? As far as, actually this needs to go on here before you do that. You know, making shakers. I have tons of shaker videos. They're so easy. But glue that together and then you have to line it out. And so I might just use a bunch of little bits because I only have this left. I have tons of this stuff, but again, this is very skinny. Another way to build them up is to cut out a whole ton of these, just like this, a bunch of frames, and then glue them all together behind here to make thickness that would be essentially a shaker thickness, you know? Something to think about. She's saying my...
glue them together to make the thickness needed to shake.
That's Sarah sharing my...
So basically, if you cut
tip
like 20
on
of
this.
the frames or something, stick them all together, that would be the same thickness as using the foam pad.
She said, VianneyCreates. That's funny. Okay.
I shared that tip with everybody. Thank you for that. That was really useful.
By the way, I'm not saying I came up with that trick. It's just something we've been doing, so like that's nice. It's not something I came up with at all. Just been going on for a long time. And I am actually trying to use this just to see if we left gaps. I did end up cutting it in half though, because it was, even that 1/4 inch is almost outside the line, which is kind of annoying. To be honest, I'd rather have just cut, you know, 5 or 6 of these out and layered them up like I said, but oh well. I'm just leaving some gaps even just to see what would happen. And even though this is not what I typically do, I'm going to go ahead and build this guy up here off sides here. So anyway, put the sprinkles, put your sequins in there and put the top on. And that's your shaker ready to go.
Yellow.
I don't know if she came up and talked about this yet. They have different colors of gray on this card, so I'm assuming we're just supposed to take this and run it through the gray that's in this one, and then maybe some of the gray from earlier, from the I was say photographs from the camera card. So I'm just gonna run it through and grab some of these and did just a couple other bits through some of the other grays. So I don't know if I missed something. I went back and looked. I'm like, I am missing something because I didn't see where they cut out any of these things. I think just because she discussed the card at the beginning, I think that's good enough for her as far as what you're supposed to do. Because they didn't finish it. They started making a bunch of different backgrounds that are really pretty and just having fun with the watercolor. But like, okay, so I'm just going to make the card look like what they have on the image, right? So I'm just going to cut out, like I said, the different hearts and just add them on here. Add the word family, this here, finish it off. Okay guys, so that is that card, and I only have 10 minutes left for the next show, or, you know, thing, which is the final class. We're using glitter paste, which is interesting because, yeah, I don't know. There's die cutting. Like, how are you going to die cut and wait for that to dry? I don't know. Anyway, unless they want you to die cut it first and then put the paste on. Yeah, you guys saw me. I knocked that thing, just fell straight down. That's another reason why I don't, you know, build up my shakers and then add them. I usually build them on the card itself. But anyway, all right. Well, I guess I'll just be ready for the next class. Ready, what I mean is like I'll be here waiting. You know, maybe I should replace that with a little guy. A gray one. A lighter gray one so you can see it better. Well, actually the light gray is what's in the background. Hold on. Yeah, I used a gray background. She said, you know, use white, gray, whatever it is that you want. Oh, and also my little sequins are in there, and I didn't even try to line these up in a really super, like, tight way, so maybe I'll put it right there. Of course, I was sitting here waiting, and I was like, oh, let me go make a bagel, and then it wasn't brown enough, and then it got too toasty, but anyway. I come back, and they're already, like, hit the ground running cutting, so I'll put this to the side. This is class 10, and I guess I'll pay attention. I know I have grip mats and all that I can use. Sorry, I have a mouthful of bagel. But, yeah, somebody said they couldn't find certain videos from the earlier classes. And I'm like, oh, yeah, just go to their channel. They're there. They are not there. Diana had mentioned that. I'm like, huh, that's weird. So, either they made them private or unlisted or something like that. So, I think that's what they're going to do. So, if you want to see them, you have to have obviously taken the class or, you know, bought the kit. So, we'll see about that. I'm sure they'll talk about it later because I can't even look at it right now, which is a bummer because I do need to go back and see class 8. So, I don't know. Hopefully they'll email about it. Yeah. So on YouTube, I don't know if you can make a whole channel private, but you can make the videos private or unlisted, right? So I think that's what they came up against. And then people were talking about that. So I'm sure they were like, hey, we need to fix that. You know what? I will use my grip mat. I haven't used it in a while. Okay, so they're educating on glitter paste, I guess, for a minute. So I'm just going to move on and do this myself because I know we're just going from one glitter paste to the next to do like an ombre. So I am going to do that already because, yeah, this needs to dry. Glitter pastes usually do dry pretty quickly, I will say, compared to like other paste types. But I don't know about this quickly. All right, I do need to get like a napkin and things. And actually I have one right here. Oh, I should be okay. I'm pretty good at using this stuff and not in a messy way. So anyway, I'm just going to start because like I said, they've been chatting for a minute now. So it goes from purple, pink to the yellow, I think, or gold. So I'll start with purple and go from there. Yeah. Okay, so I was gonna take this off, but you know what? You guys probably want to see it. Yes. Oh, look at that! It fell back down, but it was gonna fall back in the same spot. Look how cute that little heart is. It's not what I want, so obviously I don't want that on my little guy here. So I'm just gonna pick up some of this stuff before I remove it. She was saying that this stuff sets like you wouldn't believe, because again, like I said, it's usually glitter pastes of any brand set up much quicker than these other ones. But I was careful, even though I have this mat, to not get too much on the edge because I don't want to waste it on top of, you know, whatever. Look how pretty, and look at how pretty that ombre is. And I did it before, you know, they had started doing their thing, because I was just like, okay, I'm gonna move on. A lot of times you'll have a little crust on the side, so you can just kind of wipe it off like that, just to perfect it a little bit on the edges. That is so pretty. Okay, we have a little bit more to do. Okay, they're just kind of making more and more of the same background. I'm going to move on because I feel like that is die cut or something, right? So I'm going to go ahead and take this die, run it through some white paper because obviously the larger one has a white background. And then some black paper. And then again, stencil it in the shape of a heart, which will be interesting. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they do it differently, but that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do it right now. Okay, that's what she's saying right now, that you're going to go ahead and do the die cut heart. So I already had mine going. Perfect.
In fact, watch, I'm just going to spray it on here.
Okay, so I just finished this and I'm not going to wipe this back into my pot because now it has all kinds of colors on it. But let's check this out. And you might think, why is she using a grip mat? Because I washed it and it's really wet and I don't want to touch it with a paper towel or a kitchen towel because then it's going to get lint on it. So I'm just going to not use that right now. I guess I do have another one, big guy, but I don't want to bring that out for this little thing. So that's it. Ooh, this is scarier because of the shape. But there it is. Looks very cute. Again, you can just clean up the edges, kind of pulling away whatever might be on there. And everyone has lots of questions about washing your stencils. Again, I wipe them really, really well. Look at this. Isn't that cool? Like it just picked up so easy. And honestly, you can put that back on there. I wipe them with a paper towel to get all that glitter off and then just rinse them. But you got to do it right away. Otherwise, if it stays on, it doesn't matter. It's a stencil, it's plastic. It'll still work. It just isn't pristine and pretty, right? Okay. I have said in the past, you can definitely hit this with a heat tool, but look how far, I don't know if you can see how far, it's like a good foot away because if you get real close, it bubbles up. That's not good. But you don't want, well, you want it to dry completely. Obviously, if I'm drying it, it's just going to dry the top and the base, like underneath is still going to be a little bit wet. But at least you can manipulate it, right? A little bit, because that's what we need to do soon. I'm telling you, great minds think alike. I just went back to the video because, I was doing my own thing. And Leanne was like, not too close, Sarah. She did bring out the heat tool because, again, you can use it. Just don't get close because it'll bubble up. Okay, well, basically that's all we're doing. So very simple, guys. We're going to layer that. See, this is the one that scares me because this is the last one we did. And the other one we can just kind of lay on top. I have it over here off to the side. I didn't hit this with a heat tool or anything. And you can definitely just lay that on top and not the biggest deal. But it is a little warpy, I will say. Ooh. So mine aren't completely dry, but I'm going to leave them alone at this point because what's the point of trying to rush them? I'm here at my house. I will say this does not look like this in the example, but I followed exactly the sizes that Sarah had given. So this probably was a little bit bigger in the sample image. But anyway, also I stuck it straight down. Maybe if you want to wait till it dries, because I was going to stick this down, you can pop that up, right? It doesn't have to be just stuck down. But that's how it's going to be for this one. Because this guy really does have a lot of moisture still in it. So I don't really want to try to squish that down right now. But basically it's that. And then this, oh, I'll pop this up. That way there's still something popped up. So once this is flat, I'll put dimensionals on that. And then the sentiment here that just says love. I mean, you can do whatever you want. It just ended. So yeah, no, their videos are down, like gone off there. So again, they must have been private. I hope they'll email with like a link so that it is you know, the private link, which I do that, you know, whenever, if I make a video for a company like, and I send them over the links, it's still private until I release it, right? So they can, excuse me, so they have access to it, but it's not completely released, right? So you guys know about that as far as YouTube, how that works. So yeah, hopefully that'll come up. I might have replaced that with something else. I don't know. Oh well, but it's already done. So that is that, guys. So again, you know, it was pretty rushed yesterday. Today was more of a keep up, kind of like, it was okay to keep up with the, oh, look how cute this is. This is a little strand. I don't even know what this is. There's a thread here, but I look pretty with it. You know, people do all those mixed media things. Anyway, and it was like the perfect, look at it. It wants to be on there with the green and blue and everything. That was the first class. This was the second one. The third one today, 7 or 8, sorry, I didn't do. Maybe I'll just make a video on that myself, right? Just working on it. That'll be fun. We can do that. This is 9 and 10. And I still got to put that together. So I do have a pile of cards here that are good to go and just, you know, different from what I normally do. I've done things like this in the past, but this one really took me out of my comfort zone, as well did this. I don't know. All right, guys. Well, let me know what you think. Let me hear your feedback. Again, they asked about feedback at the end. They said to email somebody or other that they'll send an email about it. And I was like, the main thing I want is recipe cards that have measurements on them. Like, let's do that. That'd be really great. But okay, it is lunchtime here and I'm going to go. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. I'll see you at the next one. Bye now.